Welcome to episode 67 of the Food Grads podcast where we explore careers in the food, beverage, and agricultural industries. I'm your host, Veronica Hislop, a PhD candidate in molecular science and career partner with Food Grads. This week on the podcast, I interviewed Melody Gee, Food Safety and Quality Assurance Director at StarKist Co. and founder of the Women in Food Safety Group. StarKist Co. is a leading producer, distributor, and marketer of seafood products in the United States, while the Women in Food Safety Group is a professional group comprised of outstanding female leadership, food safety professionals, and students who are passionate about this field. The goal is to provide a community and networking platform for the industry to share their stories and experiences and help young professionals grow together. On this episode, Melody and I had a lot of fun talking about her career journey and why she decided to pursue a career in food safety and quality. Melody actually has had past experience working in research and development, but ultimately decided to move into food safety because she loves how it is a role that helps people. Additionally, we talked about Melody's experiences with mentorship, her ideas on what a mentor is, where to find them, as well as what food safety or being a food safety professional is like in a food processing facility, where that role really fits in with the whole overall system, and why it's all about perspective. We also, not to forget, talked about women in food safety, why it exists, and how they are supporting young professionals. Though we talked about so much more than that, and if you are looking for a reason to get excited about food safety, then you need to check out this episode. Melody's excitement for food safety is contagious. So that's it for this introduction. Let's get on with the show. Well, thank you so much, Melody, for taking time to come on this show. You're another person who has appeared all over my LinkedIn in terms of the women in food safety, and I think what you're doing is really important for the industry to have a voice in that, give new perspectives, and of course, just doing what you are doing in your own role. So thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thank you, Veronica, for having me. My pleasure. Love to discuss and share what I can share with the audience here.
Amazing. I'm so looking forward to that. And I'm going to jump right into it normally I like to ask what your current role is, but I think today would be a little fun to maybe walk through your career, because I think this is going to be a fun episode to do that. So maybe start with talking just like what your current role is, and then we'll walk through that step to how you got there.
Sure. Currently, I'm the head of food safety and quality assurance team at StarKist. So basically, what I do is I'm in charge of the food safety aspects of the StarKist brand products and plans, quality system, quality improvement, all the tracks with our products, as well as social Samantha audits. So we do have customer requirements on select Samantha audit. So that's all the main responsibility within my team. In addition to that, it's the internal lab management. All of our plant has the lab, so we will manage the lab from headquarter perspective. Well, walk through my career. So I graduated with food safety. Actually, I graduated with food science and technology in bachelor degree. And then I got my master with University of Maryland, College Park, with food science, technology, and nutrition. I started my career actually as an R&D and food safety. That's my really first job. I loved it, and I was passionate about it. When my product was launching, I cried next to it. I started with Beyond Meat. During the process, I also established a food safety program, right?
Mhm.
And that's where I realized without food safety, there's no product. It's truth. And I started learning that many of my friends also have food safety concerns, like allergen reaction. One of my friends go to a restaurant, got a serious allergen reaction. Those type of things hit me. And my mom used to work for food safety lab. When I was young, I don't know so much, but when incorporate my true working experience, I'm like, oh wow, these all things are connected. So I started to develop my passion in food safety, because with my personality, I'm always would like to help people as well. So food
Mm-hmm.
safety is really truly a helping people position. So I transitioned into UNF, which is a GFSI certification program owner. What I did there is help the technical team do the customer service, write the code, answering the phone calls, and managing all of our certification bodies and auditors and train auditors. I've learned so much. And I appreciate that opportunity to give me the vision and then the
Mm-hmm.
overall mindset of what is the right food safety and quality management system, what is efficient, what can really help the industry. I love the job there, and the boss there was my mentor actually. But you never know when opportunity knock at the door. So Lido came to United States and is looking for a QA manager. So what I was thinking is it's really a tough decision. So I ultimately decided to leave SQF and join Lido for multiple reasons. I want to see what I learned, whether it works in the industry. I want to see what's real in the industry from a retailer perspective. And I was young at that time. I was very adventurous. I want to try new stuff. That opportunity is just new.
Yeah.
So at Lido, I started as a manager and then I went become a deputy QA director, and then we established a team from 2 people to 30, around 30, to managing the safety and quality, mainly the supplier as well. Then I think afterward I went to a consulting, because one thing I realized is there are so many small business that needs help to develop the program from scratch. Again, I love helping people and I really passionate about that. So I started doing the consultant for a while. That lead to my following position, which is Quovium. Quovium is relatively new that I learned the data science at the position. My boss was another mentor. He taught me a lot. He taught me how to communicate. He taught me how to talk in business, how to think in business, rather just the technical perspective. And I gained a lot of perspective into the safety industry as well. I have the regulatory background, the retailer background. When I do consulting, I have the manufacturing background. And then now, Quovium is actually expertise in like environmental testing. So what we study, the data is the testing results, environmental testing results such as Salmonella, Listeria. So then StarKist came because they moved the headquarters to East, and that opened up the door of me going after the food safety culture and a smarter food safety era. And really the position gave me opportunity to consolidate all the experience that I have and then to see how it will work in the plant. When I sign up for StarKist, I know where the challenge are, where the products are. And it was a tough decision too, because my previous position, it's a different work style. I was working in the office, looking at the data, generate safety practices, but coming back to the industry, it reminds me my passion. I was like, oh, it is the plant, it is the product. Every day is a different day. So yeah, that's what I get to where I am now. Now that I look back and I appreciate the question is, yes, I switched companies. However, I think all those experiences made me who I am now and make my background unique. In each position, I try to create a new position. Like at Lido, I remember I combined sensory R&D, QA, corporate social responsibility together. I think I kept the curiosity till today. Always keep an eye on other departments, what they're doing, anything I can help. So those are my history. Oh gosh, yeah, till today.
No, but that's amazing. And one of the things that instantly stood out, what you said, was that you love helping people. Like food safety is a very helping role, because when you ask people, think of the roles that involve helping people, you think of nurses, paramedics, firefighters, like those types of things. And I've been happy that while I've been in like the food industry set, I've touched like food safety, and I've come to realize how that is such an important safety role that everyone is affected by, like every day of their lives. You know, if you buy any consumer product, even even just buying regular farm stuff like that is touched by food safety, and you take it for granted. You can just purchase that. So it's a really nice way of thinking about it if that's like something someone wants to do.
Yeah, it's a good point. You have a good point because it's really a giving back to a society. I always call food safety professionals our heroes. They took a lot of things on their own shoulders. They protect the consumer like they protect their family. And food safety is really embedded in our daily life, like how you store your foods in the refrigerator at home. Do you really change your chopping board from raw to cooked? All those are, like you said, people took it from granted. But I think also time has changed. Now the consumers get more and more aware of food safety issues. It really stunning me to see now versus before that consumers are actually catching up with the knowledge that we share. So the food safety professionals did a great job. They share a lot of things on social media to educate the consumers as well.
For sure. And, just I'm thinking more about that point and just, I'm trying to think of the shift and such. Like, so you mentioned that there's been a shift. Like, where do you think consumers are getting this better information? Because I know that could be its own topic, like misinformation. But, like, why do you think that shift started to happen?
It's a good question. I think from what I read, well, first of all, we have different source of media of knowledge right now. If the consumer want to get those information, and I know there are so many organizations that are devoted in consumer safety aspects, stop foodborne illness, all that initiatives, those can help the consumers as well. I'm not saying they all know it now. There's always rooms for getting more information and getting the right information. But compared to 15 years ago, the awareness in the industry is tremendously increased. But it's never enough. Like I said, we still see food safety incident. We still see a lot of things. That's why our food safety professionals are continually devoted in that to help the consumers.
So also going back to talking about your career story, and one of the things, you've seen all these different pieces of the industry, and you did, start to bring it more focused on food safety. And for a lot of people, they go into R&D because it's exciting. You get to create like a new product. And I know you did say you like to help people, but getting more into the nitty gritty of like the details, like what about food safety? Because it's very systematic. Like what aspects of that part of food safety do you enjoy?
Good question. And I get those questions a lot because when we go to school for food science, we have a lot of route that we can get into, like a lab technician, R&D, and food safety or food quality. For me, food safety attracts me is, first of all, the industry people. I enjoyed working with the industry people in food safety and quality industry. We share knowledge transparently. We have no compete. We share and learn from each other on best practices on how we can prevent the food safety potential hazards. Secondly is problem solving. It's interesting for food safety and quality people that every day is a different day. It really, every day I walk in the office, I don't know what's going to happen today because the plants operate differently. Once you have an issue, you dig in, you find why, you try to resolve it, you try to prevent it from happening again, and then you learn from it. Like if it's a listeria issue, if it's an E. coli issue, we also go out and do research. What can we do better to prevent this happen again? Well, those are the two main things I think attracts me and it keeps me staying in food safety. I understand the passion and then the excitement of R&D team. And I miss that sometimes. But now I see it, if I can compare, it's not real, it's like an apple and orange. However, think about it, R&D is more of a long-term project. You have a product concept, you do the research, you scale up, and then by the end, you get the achievement of a new product is developed. That's your team's product. It's exciting. For food safety, if you are the person interested in excitement every day, because every day you come in, oh, at the end of the day, I solve a problem, or at the end of the week, I have this issue resolved. That excitement is quicker, and every time it's different. It's a different type of excitement and achievement in a sense. But for me, it's really the people in the industry and then the problem solving, the challenge in the food safety industry keep me here.
I like that. And sometimes like it also reminds me of like what my friend was saying about how about problem solving and sometimes when she would get to a day where she's like, oh, I don't want to solve these problems anymore. Her dad had told her that, well, that's what you're hired for. Like your job is to
Oh,
problem
yeah.
solve.
I get that a lot. That's your job. That's your job. That keeps you here.
But I don't say it in a negative way. Like when she thought about it that way, she was like, actually, yeah, like that is
Yeah.
like, it's pretty cool. I get to solve
Okay.
problems every day. So,
Okay.
yeah. But one of the things that, when I did work in food safety for a bit, I worked in a year and I found that, it's nice to talk to other food safety professionals, but sometimes I felt that the food safety can be seen kind of as the bad guys in a plant because food safety can come in and stop a production, and for some people, even though they know food safety is important, it's a high energy, get the production done and all that. Like, do you ever struggle with those types of feelings, or would it be more related to the certain facility that you're related to? Like, is that something you've had to deal with?
I've heard that a lot. Of course, I deal with different conflicts of interest daily because we all serve a different function department within the company, and each department has their own priority. That's for sure. I mean, for example, production's priority is get the product out and maximize the efficiency. Food safety and quality is make sure the product is right and get out the door so that people are not sick. And again, I will say lately it's been changing. It might have been like that beforehand. However, with the FDA's initiation of food safety culture, it started evolving and changing. It's also perspective. In my view, I always think instead of being seen as a cop or police in the plant, I would like to be seen as an influencer. We are trying to influence people to do the right thing. If we standing in our audience shoes, why they look at differently, or is it because they don't understand why, or is it because they have a different priority, or is it because their KPI is different as a food safety team? So once we understand those, then we can start thinking how we can make a difference. We can influence all other departments on these temperature control is non-negotiable because it's a food safety risk. We can influence production on if you maximize out the efficiency, in case there are things happen, you're wasting product. So product waste will be higher. Also think about in other departments' shoes, like if their priority is production, then we talk in their language, how I can help you to get through the production with food safety and quality controlled, rather than we talk about, oh, listeria is a risk, we have to control it. Ultimately, is how you communicate your point to other departments and how you share your urgency and responsibilities to other departments. So that's why I said I was trying to be the influencer rather than a stopper. So we're not, one thing we have to have other department understand is that we share the same goal and same benefits of the business. If the business goes well, we all go well. So we're on the same boat. And a lot of time I also think that it's quite crucial if you are a department head or manager of food safety, how you utilize other departments to work together, achieve your goal together. And that way, we kind of minimize the conflict. When things happen, people will know, oh, we cannot do this because there is a temperature control. How you know that? Oh, because we had a talk with the food safety team, or we had a chat, we had a meeting, and it's embedded in your daily life. And it really depends on the business culture, how the food safety team leaders influence the plant, how the plant QA team leader behaves. One
Mm.
of the things I also tell my plant QA team is that when there is an error, we evaluate the risks, and then instead of direct punishment, we try to understand. So that way we can change our image. Because one of the disadvantage that if food safety people is always seen as a cop or a police, you might not see the truth. People are scared of police, right?
Mm-hmm.
People wouldn't tell you what went wrong. However, those type of information are the key information for us for continuous improvement. So we have to create a safe, working together, a collaborate culture with food safety and quality considered to encourage people to tell you what went wrong so we can catch the near misses. Mm, I'm not so sure if I answered the question directly, but I've heard that a lot. And for me, I try to change that picture. So we're an influencer within a business to foster a positive culture of food safety and quality. Rather, we are in the way of stopping you to do the production.
I think that that definitely got, even if it didn't answer the question, I still think that that was a very good answer in terms of just getting me to thinking even more. Because now the next thing that I go to is for those who are maybe, in their first year of food safety, like someone as a new graduate coming in as a QA technician or QC technician, they might not have the experience to understand like how to influence. I don't want to use influence in this, but I know what you're getting at. But how would you recommend like someone who's new to food safety who's interacting directly with the production line, like how do I want to put this, how do they conduct themselves that they can build trust but also not overstep their bounds either? Like what's a good way to communicate if you're new into the role and maybe you identify that something's wrong, but you want to point it out, but you also don't, again, be that bad cop role.
Be confident and then speak objectively. We communicate objectively. What was our standard? What was the issue? What was the consequence? It has stood up to it because food safety is non-negotiable. There's no way we can step back. And then each of our professionals will keep that in mind. Be confident, speak objectively, and don't look at it as a cop. I guess that will be an interpersonal skill because that's how you speak objectively, how you communicate the issues.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe starting understanding why it was happening instead of just go out straightforward say, oh, you did this wrong. But different people is different. This comes with how you interact with the production team. The one thing does help me further is always speak objectively on what we found. Hey, here is the requirements. Here is what we did. The consequence will be this. Let's work it out together. Yeah, I think that will be a good step to start with.
Yeah, I think, and this is why now I'm thinking, having conversations with people like you, like I'm learning in these types of things. So it begs to point out like the importance of networking and mentorship, because having someone, it sounds, would be also very crucial that you can have maybe outside of your organization, but inside would be as well. So I know that mentorship has also been a key role in your journey, and I definitely want to segue into the women in food safety, but maybe you could talk to how mentoring has been helpful for your career and maybe how that's led you to do women in food safety.
Sure. So mentor and mentorship, and it's being discussed a lot on the mentor and the mentees. This is my personal opinion and how I view that. Throughout my journey, I didn't really go out. So, oh, I need a mentor. So I go out, find a mentor. It to me, it's like two ways of a relationship. It naturally happened with the right chemistry. So it could have, some of the mentors that I mentioned, they probably don't know they've been mentored me. I guess what I'm getting there is mentor and mentee is what you observe, what's good for you, the style you admire, the knowledge you like, the personality you would like to mimic, the leadership style that you think it worked for you, and then you learn from them. It could be multiple people as well, and you pick on their strength to make it work for you. And a strong mentorship also is what's worked for me might not work for you. That's a lot of time when people come to me asking questions, I always make that, I said, what's worked for me, it might be just in that timing, or it's my personality, or it's my company, but you got to figure out the way that works for you, because that's sustained. For example, I learned a lot from my first boss, the way she talked, the way she managed the team, the way she approached the people. It works for her, but I have to translate a little bit so it can be in my style to sustain, so I can use it and actually really practice it, that to have this skill grow from me. You see what I mean? So that's how I see mentorship. Also, the reason why I said it's two-way is because now that more and more people ask me questions and I learn from them as well, I get their opinion as well to remind me, oh, I should have done this, or I should do this to help more people, to guide more people, to make food safety more feasible in the industry. So yeah, that's how I see it. I didn't really go out, hey, so on, can you be my mentor? Can I be your mentee? Because the personality is so different. And then it will be naturally happen. It could be someone out of your industry as well. Because I am right now, for example, at StarKist, I also observe, I learned there's a lot of mentors from a VP level that I'm absorbing, I'm learning. And of course, once I have questions, I'll go to them. I will ask questions and think and see what's gonna work for me. I think that to me, it's a mentor and mentorship program equal. So that leads to women food safety. When I first started, I graduated from University of Maryland College Park, and every now and then I still go back to talk to the students, help them develop their resume, help them prep their first interview, because it's quite different from school to the industry. And I get the question a lot, how you get there, how you become who you are right now. What's your fear when you when you prepare for your first job? So it made me think. I said, wow. And there are so many outstanding female leadership out there. And we should help more young professionals. And everyone has a different experience. Everyone has their own strength and their stories. We need to enhance that, let more people learn that and hear from that to help pipeline the young professionals. Really, that was the first thought. And I went out to the industry and I found my committees. We kind of mapped it out to two missions, I would say. First is pipeline the future female leadership, bridge the gap between academia and industry, help the young generations get through the challenges, have them feel like, oh, we're all supporting each other. Second is network. We provide a very safe, resourceful network, technical-wise, interpersonal skills. People are comfortable asking questions. People are comfortable share their challenges. Like I said, the mentors, and then some of them naturally become mentors and mentees within the gathering, within the group conversation. So that's really how we started Women in Food Safety. And why behind it? It really started, I want to help more. And I feel like I'm a resource. I'm not the only one. I'm still on my way to be successful. And there are so many female leadership that are very outstanding and successful, that we create networks that young generation can look upon. And then also, hopefully, out of this, people will realize there is a career path for food safety and quality. You can
Mhm.
actually grow from entry level to management, to director, to VP, and to chief food safety officer. You can see the clear path as long as your knowledge and experience are there. So we have many of those webinars, gatherings from women in food safety to help the young generation.
Wow, that's amazing. I asked you a two-part question and I asked way too much at one time. But I have to go back to talking first about the mentor and mentee because I like that you pointed out that it wasn't you actively like this is the person, they're going to be my mentor. Like it was, and sometimes that works for people. I mean, I've been benefited to having that experience, but I know a lot of people give the advice, find a mentor, but sometimes you can be like, how do I find him? Like you don't want to pressure yourself, like, because sometimes the best relationships you have just naturally happen, and I think that should be the case. They just naturally, and I think another key thing that you mentioned is timing. I think that some advice can be good for you at one particular time in your life, but maybe not another, and maybe that's the nice thing about as you grow up is that you start to figure out the pieces that kind of work for you, and it's not a one size fits all type thing. And people aren't in boxes, and that's okay. Like, just because it worked for one person doesn't mean it has to work for you, and nor does it mean you're doing something wrong if something doesn't work for you.
Exactly. Absolutely. And it also depends on the position and where you are at the career as well. You probably need different advices. You probably need different type of coaching. It really depends. And
Mm-hmm.
then don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are people go out and look for a mentor and they found a mentor. But for me, from my own personal experience, it really happened naturally. And sometimes I'm just learning from them without that they're even knowing.
Well, I like that. Like, I like that that brings up the woman in food safety and the fact that it's a group of like-minded, not to go out and find necessarily a mentor. I mean, something might be nice, but just sharing that there is a group of people that care, that are in that same space, and maybe just being in that space can encourage someone to just ask questions they might have not asked before because now they feel safe. They're in a space that is, you know,
Mhm.
attributes to that.
Yep.
In terms of that, because I also have to give you a shout out here. Like, I do encourage those who have the opportunity, and I'll link it to the show notes, is just the articles that you have covered with these interviews. And when I first saw, like, I think it was the first one I saw was with Jennifer Crandall. And I don't know, it just like, it felt so like I hadn't seen something like this online before. When I saw an article like directed at food safety, it felt so approachable. It really just put a face to someone. Like, it just felt so grounded as well. Like, I'm happy that you're sharing these stories because I think you need to see more of it because, as well, I'll be honest, like, as an outsider, food safety publications can be very unapproachable. I understand, talking about microbiology, talking about that, like, you need the objective facts, like you said, but taking a step back, it's like, how does a young person find a person, not just a role, who's doing food safety, that there's more to their life too than just that as well. Like, again, it stood out to me because I just remember her talking about some of the questions and like how she progressed in her career and how she's had challenges and such. And I don't know, like, I think we need to see more of that.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I think I will share the feedback with my committee. I think if one or two more and more people get influenced by the story, and that's why that makes us feel, oh, we're doing the
Mm-hmm.
things that really actually helping the industry and the young generation. And yes, Jennifer has an amazing story. I was very impressed by the interview. Well, thank you for the feedback. We'll continue doing
Amazing. Yeah, I'll definitely have to share some more about that. And I also wanted to talk about just young, because this is, again, I'm going to steal a question from this because you had asked the question in one of your interviews, like, how can young women entering the food safety field advocate for themselves and their career advancement? Because I could imagine that could be difficult for some. So what would your advice be for that?
Mm, try different when you were young and then when you first out of school with all the knowledge are fresh, try different roles and then see what you like. When I get more and more into the industry, I realized doing something you like is crucial, is important. And then you don't feel like you're working, you're enjoying your work every day because you did work 8 to 8 hours per day. So you got to love it. And then once you like it, you do it well. However, in reality, understanding not everyone will find their likable purpose at first place. So I would suggest them to try different things. Lab, food safety department, quality department, R&D. Now we also have like social responsibility that food science students can look into. All those type of positions, try it. And whenever you have the company ask you to do something, say, yes, I'll do it. And I think that's how I get into it as well. I said yes all the time. Can you do this? Yeah. Well, do I know how? I'll figure it out. So, and then you learn from it. And then you learn from, after you learn from it, you will definitely realize what you like, what you don't like. Yeah, that will be my first tip to the young generation. Try different roles, learn as much as you can, and then once you find your passion, once you find what you like, devote it to it, and then you will do well because you love it, you like it. Another beauty aside of this, you try different things, you will realize whatever the ultimate role you ended up with, the experience that you had with other functions like R&D and quality, it will support your final role because you have a round up picture. You're not with siloed just one function. I'll use an example. Lab testing is supporting food safety. Food safety ultimately support quality. If you have experienced all those three functions, ultimately you will be a very good leader in the team because you understand the challenge when being a lab technician, the challenge when being a food safety professionals, and the challenge of being a quality professionals. Ultimately, the dots will all connected because nothing you do will be wasted.
Maybe I talk from my own personal experience, but it's funny how when you're in the role, you can get so caught up in the weeds of like the day to day and all that, and you can feel so maybe you get focused on the negative things about how you're not doing it, or it doesn't feel right in this role and it feels like it's never going to end. But then when you finally remove from the role and then you go do something else, you're like, oh, I don't regret actually doing that because I wouldn't be who I am without this, or I wouldn't have a better understanding because lived experiences definitely take you farther than you can even realize. So yeah. Maybe it's just life in general, but challenges are a good thing.
Absolutely. And that's a good point. I mean, every role you have ups and downs, you have your highlights and you have your low days. Yeah. But ultimately, they all become your experience.
And, maybe though, if there is something though that you would want to recommend, like maybe there are skills that are more important in food safety, like what would you think someone would more actively try to build if they were going into food safety?
I mean, technical skills, never lose sight of the technical skills, keep up to date with the regulations, the FSMA, like the control, the food code, all that. I think technical skills is a foundation. To build on that for food safety professionals, one of the things now I look back is, I would say, problem solving. Find the root cause, find the sustained practices and solution to prevent the incident happen again or the problem happen again. When I was first entering the job market, one thing I can share is I try to solve a lot of things together. I try to have all the problems, all the solutions, and be done and draw the conclusion. The more I'm in it, the more I learn. That's not the case. And it overwhelmed myself. When I was at Corium, I learned the data science. Through the coding of Python, all that, I actually thought about it. Once you know the problem so well, You do one code, one step. You solve the problem one at a time. And that helps round up the whole situation. Try not mixing everything together. Otherwise, I will end it up with a very massive coding. And if you ask me 5 years ago, I probably will give you a different answer. But right now, you ask me this time at the moment, I think problem solving, the logic behind it, the analytics side will be very helpful on top of the technical skills.
And when we talk about like problem solving, do you actually like sit down, like you find your problem? So let's just say, I don't know, there's a temperature not working on the line. I don't know, or something like that. Like, do you sit down with like a piece of paper, write out like the different steps and like really tangibly do that? Like, how does problem solving actually come about?
Keep asking myself question. So like, what went wrong? What could be the first step went wrong? What the second step went wrong? And did we have all the information? Did we have all the information to support each of the steps? I'm not sure if I will draw down, but definitely something is going on in my mind to go through, to sort through it. It really sorting through the root problem will help all the side problem. And another thing I was is communication. It's communication skills. I'm still practicing it. And then the more I'm in the industry, the more I found it's crucial for food safety professionals.
Yeah, problem solving. It's the reason I asked that specifically is because I feel, the more I ask questions with people, I understand why a lot of advice is very given to it by a lot of people. But getting in the nitty gritty of certain things like problem solving, well, it's easy to say, like, I'm a good problem solver, but like actually putting that into place and quantifying that, it's sometimes also hard to identify if you are a good problem solver. Like, how do you quantify, like, I guess you quantify it by saying I solved this problem, but then as well, it's also collaborative, like you said. Like, it's not you solve the problem. Sometimes it's a group of people.
It is. Yeah, it's definitely a group effort. Don't lose still when you do problem solving, don't lose the big picture. But if there is a bigger problem, we're gonna sort it out and then find out what was the problem we need to solve first, and then second, because in reality, we can solve a big problem or multiple problems together. However, for food safety professionals, that's most of the cases. We have an issue, the issue combined with this issue, that issue, are all the other teams. So we need to sort it out, where we get the resources, who we need to get engaged and buy in, and what was the real problem, and then move from there. And like you said, it's definitely hard to achieve. Definitely, it's a
Yeah.
group effort.
Yeah. I guess that's the fun of it. I guess this is the fun part about the work is coming in
Yeah,
and
that is the fun part of food safety professionals. Yes.
it's actually, as we talk, I'm thinking about all these different parts, all these different components, but I guess at the end of the day, like, that's what you're there for, come together collaboratively, solve a problem, and, figure it out. Like, I mean, it's not something, sometimes I could imagine it's like a simple fix, but other times it's a lot of complex issues over top of each other, and the root cause was not even in your peripherals when you
It's a myth.
started.
Exactly. And that's where we really rely on food safety and quality professionals to have a clear mind, to really solve the problem. What was the key problem? What's the problem can wait a little bit? All those aspects.
Yeah, I know that was something that I struggled a little bit when I was in food safety, is having that clear mind, because it felt like there was like 1,001 things on the go, and you can't get to the core of a problem unless you're giving yourself room to think about it. And
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, that's something I've heard with food safety. It's like, how do you know, work on overarching problems when you're caught in the day to day of the production? It's a very, as you say, your days are not predictable.
Yeah.
You start your day one way, and maybe you wanted to address that issue, but then something drew you in that you just never thought, and then you keep kind of pushing it off. And I know you can't always do that, but it's a fascinating role.
Yes, well, you can consider those as a sparkle in your day, because with food safety, So if today is Tuesday, we're walking, and you will think it's a normal Tuesday, but then you never know. Things just happened. The plan happened, one thing, oh, this thing, or there's a consumer complaint, or there's a test results. It's not, no. But those are little sparkles. It lighten up your day. It makes your day less boring, right?
Right. I love
Again,
that.
it's personality. Because like for me, I'm always interested in challenges, in differences. So every day is a new day. That's like a food safety professional's daily life.
Well, I love you putting it that way because I know we've been saying problem solving like it's a problem, but thinking of it as a challenge or a sparkle, like I don't know, it puts a nice spin on it.
Yeah.
And it's probably something you also do need in your role because, we laugh, but some of these things are very serious if these are not. And I see
Mhm.
why you said technical is the first thing because if these things don't go well and they are not addressed properly, the risk is that someone could get sick. Like,
Yeah, or die. And it's
mm-hmm,
severe. That's why I said food safety professionals are heroes.
mm-hmm,
They do a lot of things behind the scene.
yeah.
They make sure everything is smooth according to the standard. So a good culture maybe as food safety professionals are seamless.
Mm,
Yeah. For example, I don't know if it's the right example. I always use IT department as an example. If your computer is not broken, you probably wouldn't think about IT is running a lot effort behind it to make sure your computer is running. Same thing. Food safety professionals do everyday due diligence so much to make sure everything goes smooth. The product is in the can. Sorry, the product is in the market. Go out for the consumers.
that's true. It's one of those positions that you don't, one of those things where you don't notice that it's working well until it goes wrong.
Right. But nowadays, like I said, the awareness is changing. So the more we advocate the culture, more people realize the department is doing a lot more than it is. So
Mm-hmm.
they're heroes.
And like we do talk about food safety culture, but like what what is food safety? Like I mean that might be a loaded question, but like the goal the FDA wants to have a good food safety culture, but like how do you make that even tangible to say that you have
That's a good, that's a big and good question. And
one?
I think there are a lot more experts out there to answer this question. And for me, what I'm trying to establish is the safety and quality culture is embedded in business operation culture. So whomever you go out talk, they understand, they operate. It's not only the safety and quality department stop or more, hey, there's an issue. Is every department, they will see this, they say, oh, will this cause our safety or quality incident? Mm, and then for measure wise, I guess I'm still reading and I'm still learning from other
Mm-hmm.
professionals. Mm, it has to go with your people culture because the culture cannot be established without people. And then for our people, it really comes from senior management to the people who work on the line workers. They are the person who will sustain the culture. So how can we balance this? I think it's a long time homework goal for, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. From my own experience, I experienced different country employees culture. So what's working for one plant might not work for the other plant because the people are different. Yeah, I actually don't have a good answer on how you measure it. For me, every time I walk in, if people are aware of it, people started doing the right thing. If people not always putting the cost, that shows a good culture established in the business. But don't lose the sight of the people because people makes the culture. So we cannot enforce a culture. We need to have two culture talk together.
Well, that's one thing that's really cool again about food safety is just it's not just a technical role. There's people involved, there's psychology, there's so many different things and I can see why you decided to stick into it. Like there's an excitement with research and development, creating a product, but food safety is about creating a good environment, working together, collaborative, helping people.
Mhm.
And I think that's really cool and I really hope that message comes across a bit more.
I hope so. We need more young generations for food safety and quality. It's a fun area. It's really a fun industry.
Well, I think I'm going to leave it there. We're going to leave it on the positive note that food safety is a good place to go for career growth for and such. But I wanted to say thank you so much, Melody, for taking time to come on the show. I really liked this conversation. I really love your excitement about food safety. I'm excited when I get to share this episode. But before I do let you go, I always like to ask, where can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. That's the easiest way, and I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Yeah, Google LinkedIn, Melody, last name is GE. And if you have any questions or any puzzles or even the feedbacks, feel free to message me on LinkedIn.
Amazing.
That's the easiest way. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I'll leave that there. So again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're very welcome. I hope I helped.
That was episode 67 of the Food Grads podcast. All the notes to this podcast can be found by clicking on the Student and Grads tab on the Food Grads website. There, you can find any notes to past or future episodes. If you enjoyed this episode, then please head over to wherever you listen to this podcast and rate it 5 stars. This helps us to get the word out there about this podcast and share about how great this industry is. Thank you so much for listening. I know that you could be listening to anything else right now, but you chose us. So, thank you. Did you think that Melody just seemed to shine throughout this episode? Or was that just me? I just love her excitement for food safety and what she does. I'm so happy that I have this platform to share stories like this to everyone. I think hearing about people who are having fun while doing food safety is something that we really want to promote, but also people with the technical skills that can do it and do it well. The thing that stood out to me the most was when Melody said that challenges are like sparkles. Honestly, I never thought about it when I heard someone talk about challenges in that way, but I really love that approach. It puts such a positive spin on things, and it shows that challenges are there to help you grow. But at the end of the day, it comes down to perspective on how you want to look at those challenges. One thing that Melody did point out as well in this episode, that despite the talks about networking and such for your role and finding a mentor and all these soft, tangible skills, of course, they're important for your work. When it comes to food safety, you can't get around the fact that there's a necessity for hard skills and technical skills, which makes sense because food safety is based off of scientific facts. So having more education in the space is a necessity. So building both those combination of your soft skills as well as your hard skills, understanding, how to influence people, as Melody said in the episode, that's an important aspect. But again, you can't get around technical facts. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you everyone so much for listening, and I will see you next time.